Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
There's your long ball. Stretch, stretch, stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. Today's show is brought to you by Place Your Bet. If you like to bet on sports games, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, boxing, golf, you name it, you can bet on it, and you're looking for a real bettor's edge on the casino sportsbook, call Place Your Bet right now at 702-799-9935 and get your free subscription. Place Your Bet uses money movement to determine picks just like the casino odds makers. In fact, their winning percentage over the Vegas line is 86%. That's crazy with all games documented. The casinos don't want you to know about Place Your Bet. Give them a call right now at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Call them right now for your subscription or visit them at placeyourbet.vegas. That's placeyourbet.vegas. Get winners today and cash tickets with Place Your Bet. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Got to jump right in with this. And this is the ongoing saga of Mr. Kraft and the New England Patriots. That just seems to keep going and going and going. I don't understand this now. Prosecutors are saying that Robert Kraft's attorneys lied in court. Now, William Burke is one of those attorneys. He told the Associated Press on the telephone that he and the other co-counsel, Alex Spiro, of Robert Kraft, will not be intimidated, quote, end quote. He said they will provide evidence supporting their claims. Burke represented former White House counsel Don McGahn and also during the counsel Robert Mueller's investigation as well. Now, Spiro also represented Jay-Z, Mick Jagger, and other celebrities, etc. So, of course, he's not going to be intimidated by any way, shape, or form. But here's really what this comes down to. It's the old he said, she said, because, let's face it, the court wants the videotape available to the people. Yet, Robert Kraft does not, because there is a really big problem with this, obviously, if he's exposed, the $6 billion man that is. Now, quote, "They have made a series of false accusations against us," Burke said. "This is all an obvious and desperate attempt to deflect attention away from illegal and unconstitutional actions of the Jupiter Police Department and the state lawyers," close quotes. Now, last week, Kraft's attorneys asked the judge to throw out the video recording allegedly showing the 77-year-old Robert Kraft twice paying for sex in January at the Orchids of Asia Day Spa. Now, Kraft, who is worth $6 billion, is one of 25 men charged with paying between $50 and $100 for sex. Kraft has pleaded not guilty, but issued a public apology for his actions. Now, if you're not guilty, why are you issuing a public apology in the first place? To me, listen, if you're apologizing and if you're making a statement that is contrary to your position, buddy, I got to tell you, that sure sounds like it's guilty to me. Now, in court documents and proceedings, Jupiter Police said that after receiving a tip from the neighboring county, that Orchids of Asia might be a prostitution front, detectives placed under surveillance in November and persuaded a judge in January to issue a warrant letting them install hidden cameras in the spa itself. Now, Kraft's attorneys accused them of lying to obtain the warrant, calling that a violation of the customer's privacy's rights. Now, according to testimony, if detectives monitoring the cameras saw a customer pay for sex, the suspects were tailed by Jupiter officers as he left the parking lot until he committed a traffic violation. Now, what if they didn't commit a traffic violation? Were they going to make something up? Now then, if he did, he was pulled over to obtain his identification so they could later be charged with solicitation. That sounds a little bit dicey to me. Now, the men were not told immediately that they had been seen at the Orchids of Asia. Police said that they didn't want to tip off the spa's owner about the surveillance. Now, Officer Kim Bark pulled over Kraft's chauffeur after one of his visits. During questioning last week, Spiro, who's one of Kraft's attorneys, asked Kimbark about his recorded conversation with other officers about pulling over the previous customer. Spiro 4 times accused Kimbark of acknowledging that he didn't have any probable cause to stop the man, but would, quote, make up some beep to pull them over, end quote, using a common obscenity, of course. Now, Officer Kimbark denied saying that, as did prosecutors on Tuesday. Prosecutors said to avoid telling the man that his traffic violation had occurred in the spa's parking lot, Officer Kimbark was recorded telling another officer that if the man asked about its location, he would, quote, come up with something, close quote. The prosecutor said the wording of Spiro's question, quote, was designed to mislead the judge as to the lawfulness of the traffic stop, close quote. Now, look, the bottom line here with all this, it appears that Robert Kraft was reported as seeing paid for sex, as we had mentioned earlier, and they're trying to get it thrown out of court. Because think about this, folks. What is the real value of this dialogue in the first place? Look, you've got a guy that owns big business. He's well into the billions, not the $6 million man, but the $6 billion man. If this guy is convicted of a crime, well, it would sure seem to stand to reason that his investors in his company could drive their stock price down, and that could literally be a cost of billions of dollars. So why is it significant? Look, if the guy wants to go do whatever he wants to do in his free time, so be it. But the problem is it has to fall within the parameters of the law. Now, the chauffeur driver is the big question here. Did the chauffeur driver do anything wrong, which is Robert Kraft's chauffeur driver? I don't know. I wasn't there. But it sure seems to me that something was made up, as one of his attorneys said, as to why he got pulled over. It's not very often that you see a limo driver pulled over in the first place. So if that is the case, what was the probable cause? Why is it significant? I mean, could it be that if this guy gets arrested being Kraft, that maybe he's forced to sell the New England Patriots? That's going to change the entire culture of the NFL and, of course, of the New England Patriots. So there's a lot at stake with this situation, and that's why we're covering it, because although it may seem somewhat trivial that somebody wants to pay for certain acts or whatever, well, maybe that is trivial, but the ultimate end game is that there would be significant impact not only in the football world, but in the sporting world as well. So there's a lot that's happening here with this whole Robert Kraft thing. We're going to keep an eye on this as it develops, but we certainly can't root for the defense team to say, or I should say the prosecutor to say, well, hey, we're going to plant evidence or we're going to do this, that, and the other just to bring this guy down. No, it's got to be done within the limits of the law. So we'll see what happens here, but we're going to be back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus, possibly with a special guest. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
And that's another thing. Those Dodger fans, Sal, I mean, sitting on their hands, they were not ferocious like the Boston faithful over there.
What does that have to do with anything?
That's the reason you had 2-out rallies, because you have fans that are behind them, and the Dodger fans are weak.
No, a 2-out rally is predicated on what those hitters are doing at the plate. When you look at what the Boston Red Sox hitters were doing, they were shortening up the stroke, they were getting up on the bat, they were rotating the knuckles, they were doing all the right things to get around on everything and protect the plate. The Dodgers were still swinging for the fences, even with 2-strike counts. They were not willing to hit the ball the other way for the most part. Even when the shift was on, hell, they could have laid down a little 99 hopper to third base if they're a left-handed stick. But they weren't doing it. The hitting mechanics and the hitting coaches are just simply better over in Boston, and they prepared their hitters to do the right thing. That's what made the difference with that 2-out hitting. They shortened everything up, and they made contact. They put the ball in play. My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. The coach tells him, take a knee in the end zone because we have one timeout, plus we'll have the 2-minute warning. And for some reason, he runs it out of the end zone. He runs it 20 yards in. Yeah, donkey. Yeah, whatever that was.
That's the guy.
Yeah, that's a donkey or something from Godfather 3. Yeah.
And he needed to be canned for that very reason, and so they dealt him off to the Baltimore Ravens. And now he'll get some playing time over there, which is good. But good news for Green Bay is they cut bait immediately. They said, you can't follow instructions. You can't be here.
I'm shocked they didn't cut him on Monday. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play. And even if he got tackled and didn't fumble, it's a bad play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. Therefore, his own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
But I also like it that Green Bay made another trade.
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from the Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Did you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that
incredible,
okay? Is that good
man.
enough?
That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports. You get music. We're really entertaining.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. How do you not love that music? I'm Tom Brenneman.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. This segment is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind for less than $1 a day. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, contracts given to you that you don't understand, plus a whole lot more. Call Legal Shield right now for legal help for less than $1 a day at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us, and tell them the circus sent you. Also, a big welcome to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Also want to welcome everybody on Spotify as well, the 207 million subscribers to Spotify. And, folks, we have a special guest. In fact, I'm just going to let him introduce himself. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, it's Matt Stairs calling from the good Great White North up of Canada.
All right. Now, Matt, thanks for joining us. And, of course, Matt is a World Series champion back in 2008 with the Philadelphia Phillies. And, you know, Matt, out of all the years you played, I got to tell you, I'm not really one of those guys that's really into this, all the stats and so forth. You know, you see all kinds of crazy stats these days. But the one that really stuck out, and Ben and I were talking about this earlier, is the wins above replacement, right? That WAR number. And, you know, as you're probably aware, the everyday player is from 0 to 2, right? So somebody else jumps into your spot, you're basically going to play the same. And if you're an all-star, you're probably somewhere around that 5 number, which is spectacular. If you're an MVP type, you're about 8. But here we are, folks. Matt is a 14. That's crazy. I mean, for Christ's sake,
is that Canadian or American?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. You're also a member of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame as well, right?
Yeah, that was an honor. I could put that back in there probably in 2016 or something like that. So that was quite an honor to be putting that. I didn't know the WAR was that high, though.
Yeah, 14.2. That's crazy.
Well, you know, I think what happens is that, you know, I only had 2 years where I played every single day. That was 2 years in Oakland. And then when I became, you know, the travel guy, I went around everywhere and, you know, I got 300 and 400 at-bats. My numbers actually moved up pretty good with the amount of bats and home runs I hit. And, you know, so it was that's probably the reason why it was so high.
I believe
Still
you
pretty good, though.
Matt, didn't you finish with more pinch hit home runs than anybody else?
I did. I ended up hitting 23 pinch hit home runs during the regular season, which is a major league record. I took that one. That was a fun one. That was, you know, I always said, you know, I didn't make enough to play every day, and I wanted to be a guy that came off the bench and wanted to be a guy that could change the outcome of a game. And it happened many times. I dedicated to pinch hitting. I wanted to pinch hit. I didn't want to play every day. I enjoyed my role, and it worked out well. You know, to see that the opposing manager taking out closers to bring in left-handers just so I didn't have to hit, it was nice seeing that as well.
Right. Well, you know, what struck me funny is, you know, I'm looking through all these stats because I have to anyway, and I'm a baseball fan, whatever. And so I'm looking at a home run tally of 265 home runs, and that may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but the fact is, for the amount of at-bats you had, imagine if you had played, I don't know, a regular 10, 15 years every day. Hell, you could have hit 1,000 home runs.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it's, you know, I've had people talk about that, saying I could have hit between 400 and 500 home runs if I would have played every day. You know, and maybe if I played every day, maybe I would have. Maybe if I played every day, maybe I wouldn't have hit my 268 or 258, whatever it is. You know, I sit there and it's funny because people talk about it. It's like, well, it didn't happen. So there's, you know, I'm not going to sit there and and say, well, maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have. I was a fly ball hitter without trying to worry about the launch angle and exit velocity. That was my swing path, was to drive the ball in the gaps. And when I got locked in, I hit a lot of home runs, and it was. So when you become a fly ball hitter and you play in good ballparks to hit in, you're going to hit a lot of home runs.
Well, when I saw you swing, it really reminded me a lot of, I hope that you take this in the most positive way, but it was very similar to Jim Thome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think Jim had a lot more opposite field pop than I did. I probably had, I wouldn't say a better pull swing, but a more natural pull swing, because Jimmy had that being able to hit the ball, from the left field line to the right field line, where I was more just off of center field to left center, more right center with everything. So, but I mean, we basically had the same. I hate saying we had the same path because he's a Hall of Famer and I'm not. But I mean, the swings. I played against him almost my whole career, even when he was in Double A and in Canton. So, I would say that we did have similar. I would say swing paths are pretty much the same.
Yeah,
his results just went a little farther than mine.
Matt, for a guy that really played a couple of seasons at really on an everyday basis. I mean, you played for 19 years. You played pro ball. But the fact is, look, you weren't like the Dave Kingmans of the world that was hitting like 210. You hit 260 plus. I mean, that says a lot for a guy that's coming off the bench, ice cold, knocking the cover off the ball, but you're hitting, above 260. That's a winner in any book that I know of. I don't know about you, buddy.
Well, no, a lot of people sit back. Do you ever sit back and listen to look at your career and what do you think? For me, I think the reason why I had good years hitting wise, towards the end of my career, of course, maybe I played maybe 1, maybe 2 years too long. But I think when I was in my prime, and even the years that I was being a pinch hitter and I was getting 300 or 400 at bats, I was always been able to take a lot of walks. And I think the number for me I was proud in was one was my on base percentage was very high throughout my career. I think it was close to 350, and two, I only struck out twice, 2 times, 100 times in 1 year. So, I was a guy that I had a pretty good game plan. I mean, I looked for certain areas and I tried to stick with it. Of course, you had to come off it once in a while, but that's one thing I teach everyone. When you step in that batter's box, there's only one thing that you can control. Is that your plate appearance or your approach of what you want to stick with. After that, it's out of your hands. You put the ball in play, defense makes it, whatever it is. So I had a pretty good game plan. I stuck with it majority of the time, and majority of the time it worked out. I took my walks, which helped my average.
Now you saw some shifting when you were playing, but in today's league, in today's game, it's the hyper shift. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, it isn't the bottom line is whatever it takes to win a ball game.
Yeah.
So with the shifting, I get it. I mean, I watch a lot of games, and I watch a lot of players that I coached who are now automatically dead pull hitters, which they weren't 2 years ago. I think we're getting away from a little bit of the opposite field power in a lot of the ball players. There's still a lot of great ball players that hit the ball, a mile to right field or left field, opposite field, whatever. But I think a lot of guys, certain counts, they try to pull everything. And I think that's the reason why you do the shifts. Listen, I understand. That's fine by me. I saw shifts as well.
Yeah.
What kills me is people, fans, writers, whoever it is, say, well, just, shorten up and hit the ball to the hole. Yeah, okay. If that's not in your DNA, if that's not your swing path, it's almost literally impossible to hit a ball that's coming in 100 miles an hour through a shift to the 5-hole or the 4-hole with a right-handed hitter. Because that's not your swing path. So I understand all the shifts that are going on. I get it. And Ken Griffey Jr. said the best thing. The way he beat a shift was hit over their head.
Right. Now in the Atlantic League, they're actually marking it off where the shift is now becoming illegal. They're trying it out this year. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I knew there was a lot of rules that were coming down with the shift. I know the second half of the season they're thinking about moving the mound back 2 feet. A certain amount of foul balls, you're automatically out. There was a lot of things that the Atlantic was trying to do I haven't heard a lot of it. I actually have a friend of mine that owns one of the teams in Lancaster. And actually, remind me, I want to give him a call to see how the new rules are going and stuff. But to me, it's, again, whatever it takes to win a ball game. And if the hitters are continue hitting the ball in the 4-hole, the 5-hole, 6-hole, wherever they're hooking the ball, why wouldn't you overload players? I saw there was a player in AAA for Lehigh Valley today had 4 outfielders covering him, and he had a home run. So, it's not just the big leagues; it's all the way down to the minor league system with the scouting report. You got 6 or 7 guys trying to figure out how to get you out. So, you're hitting. We got 9 guys that we're paying to figure out where we should play you and how to get you out. Eventually they're going to figure it out, and this is the way you get guys out. So it sucks, but it's part of baseball. And it's whatever it takes to win, I guess.
Well, I guess, maybe they move one of the infielders to the outfield. Now you got 4 outfielders. Hey, whatever it takes. I don't know. That's a lengthy discussion. Actually, it's even a bigger discussion, which we don't even have time for in this segment, which would be when you had said moving the pitcher's mound back 2 feet. Now, that is a whole nother discussion that literally could take hours. I don't even know about that. So in the last...
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't even want to think about, because I think he's running too many injuries with pitchers. Different landing spots. They got to figure out a different way to throw a ball to their hand, 2 feet deeper. There'll be more runs. It'd be interesting, but I'd hate to see that.
Right. All right, folks, we're going to be back here with Matt Stairs, world champion and pinch hit king and War King. That would be 14.2 War King. In just a few minutes, don't go anywhere. Lots more to come with Matt.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. Hi, pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you'd get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. 1 ball, 1 strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products that don't do what they represent to do? They told me when they hired me it was a temporary job. Born and raised in St. Louis, and you can imagine the Cardinals were my favorite team from the day I could remember. And all of a sudden, the miracle of life, I'm broadcasting car games. And I own the town and broadcast them for 25 years, and I thought they're going to give me a gold watch, and they gave me a pink slip. Then I went out to work for Charlie Finley for a year, and that's par for the course. Came to Chicago, and I was with the White Sox 11 years, and now with the Cubs. Never missed a game, never missed a time at bat, never missed a half inning that I was supposed to do. You know, Chicago is such a marvelous city. Hey, we got some Chicago people. You know, you never succeed in this business until you've had the experience of working with a terrible hangover. Not until you've been able to come through with flying colors under those circumstances can you consider yourself a professional. Lord knows, I've had more than my share of hangovers. There's a drive, way back, it might be, it could be, and it is. Holy cow! This crowd is wild!
Hey everybody, this is Adam Curry from Candlebox, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. This segment is brought to you by Cali Vegas, helping people just like you create and host your very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help you with everything you need to get a sitting in hours of traffic like you're doing right now and host your very own talk show in your very own studio. Call Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Or visit them at CaliVegas.com. That's C-A-L-I Vegas.com. And tell them the circus sent you. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, on NBC News, CNBC Financial, and NBC Sports, covering sunny Southern California, KCAA 106.5, 102.3 FM at 1050 AM, right here in Las Vegas, KSHB 1400 in Chicago, WCGO 1590 and 95.9 FM, our Westwood One News affiliate, covering the greater Florida Panhandle and Southern Alabama's Talk 1490 WIRB, and on the New York Yankees Radio Network 1340 105.3 FM WLVL, covering the greater Buffalo and Toronto markets, our Fox Sports affiliate. And a big thanks to everybody streaming the show live at thesportscircus.com. All right, back here with Matt Steers, world champion, and I think he's also the world champion wins above replacement. His WAR at 14.2 for his career. That's a crazy number. And you know what, Matt? I think we're going to see if our producer, Cub fan, has a question for Matt. What do you got, Ben?
As a Chicago guy, I'm always thinking about food. I was wondering, in your summer in Chicago, if you had any favorite fare or food or restaurant that you frequented.
Well, I mean, I'm a man who loves food, pretty much like seafood. I see the food and I eat it. No, you know what I think? I enjoyed Gibson's. I'm always down with a big steak. In Chicago, I had a blast in Chicago. Rosebuds, my wife just told us that was probably our favorite restaurant that we've gone to in Chicago, called Rosebuds. It was really good.
Isn't that the one on Superior?
Beer was cold as well. What's that?
I think it's on Superior. It's right over there in that area where all those real nice restaurants are, not far from the water tower, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
So that was
Rosebud,
probably my favorite place.
Yeah, that's really good food. Did you ever go to Salerno's on Grand? Get some pizza there?
I did.
Oh,
no, I did not.
Oh, you're missing out. The beer is cold and the pizza's great.
That's a good mixture.
It sure is. All right, so tell us a little bit about your experience playing for the Cubs. Now, this is for all the Cub fans out there, because we are covering a great amount of the Chicagoland area.
Right. Heck, going into Wrigley Field, the fans were unbelievable. We actually had a very good year that year. We had EY. It was tough. It was the year when I came in 2001. That was the year that Mark Grace went to Arizona. So that was tough. Shoes to try to fill. Taking Mark Grace's place. And at first the fans, gave you a hard time because of who you're trying to replace. But I had fun. The only thing that was tough for me at Wrigley Field, and that's because I was a Cub, is whenever I came into that ballpark, I didn't hit well in that ballpark. To me, it was the wind was blowing in, wasn't good for a fly ball hitter, and the playing surface was a little smaller. So when you step in the batter's box, you see a lot of infielders and a lot of outfielders. But besides that, I had a blast. We had a great time there. We traded for Fred McGriff at the All-Star time, or just before that or after that. We had a good run. Unfortunately, we got some guys hurt, and it was a great time playing in Wrigley Field.
Well, you also went from Oakland, where you had some years there, to a very large playing surface, right, with real wide foul ground areas to a very condensed field at Wrigley.
Yeah. And it's funny as hitters, maybe I'm the oddball or I don't know, but playing in, like when you go to Coors Field, you see no one in the infield. You see no one in the outfield because there's so much room in the outfield and the infield. Foul territory in Oakland, it just seems like everything's just spaced out. Like the crowd is not right on top of you. I knew when I played the old Detroit Stadium up in Detroit, it was the same way. The fans are right on top of you. It feels like you're kind of crowded. It feels like the pitcher's 45 feet away from you instead of 60 feet. So, there's a lot of things that play in your mind when you become a hitter, and of course, when you look out there and you see that wind blowing in, and I remember hitting balls to right field. I mean, just crushing them, thinking, there's no way that's not gonna hit one of those buildings over the bleachers, and then would he make the warning track, and then Sammy Sosa would come up next time and hit a ball off the field. He'd go about 30 rows deep, and I'm like, unbelievable. So that's just how it is. Though the hitters are. Hitters are weird. Jason Giambi, I remember one time we were playing in Cleveland. And he goes, "Did you ever notice that yellow line that goes down through the middle of the center field wall?" And I'm like, "Oh, my God." And then all of a sudden you start looking at it, you see it, and you can't get it out of your head. So there's, we try to keep our mouth shut when it comes to those. But I've heard a lot of people talk about playing in Wrigley that it feels like the fans are right on top of you, and it feels like the pitcher's right on top of you as well.
Well, see, now you had the same thing in Boston. So you were at small park, then big park, then small park, and then you go to Milwaukee. So it looked like for a period of, about 6-7 years, whatever, that you were alternating little to big parks. Maybe did that make it smaller?
No, Fenway I didn't notice. I was so young, being a rookie going into Fenway Park and not realizing how close that wall was in left field, and all of a sudden realizing that, well, hell, I ain't strong enough right now to hit a ball to this right field, so I better learn how to hit the ball to left field. I see why Wade Boggs is such a great opposite field hitter. And that wall is 100 or 285 or 300 feet, whatever it is, away in left field. But it was only Wrigley Field where I felt uncomfortable standing in the batter's box, thinking that everyone was right on top of you. Everywhere else, Detroit, of course, they blew that up, and you went to the new ballpark, which is like hitting in a bowl. It's just the way it's built that the fans are quite a ways from you. So, I think nowadays with all the fans being as far as they are back, it doesn't seem like everyone's right on top of you anymore. You just feel uncomfortable. It's like as a hitter, when a catcher is set up inside, you feel crowded. And then all of a sudden when he sets up away, you kind of have that little spaces of, okay, there's nobody near me. You stand in line sometime and someone's standing real close to you. That's the feeling a hitter gets when a catcher sets up underneath your hands. You just feel crowded.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, do you have another question? I guess not. Okay. Well, I look at it this way. Look,
I must have bored him. He left.
I don't know. I know. He's running around the back trying to do 14 things. But no, the funny thing is, look, I have been to Wrigley, a ton of times as a kid. I grew up not too far from there. I was born right down the street from here. And I've gone to a lot of games there. Yeah, you were essentially right on top of the action. And, over the years, I became a dedicated White Sox fan, and that has to do with the old Bruce Sutter thing. That goes way back. But anyway, I've seen my share of games in both stadiums. At Old Comiskey, of course, it was the same, just like old Tigers. All the old parks were kind of similar. But, as they build these newer parks, actually the only one that really wasn't like that I've seen, a place that you're pretty familiar with, is Dodger Stadium. Even though it's not a new stadium, you're pretty far back at that stadium.
Yeah, you are. It's, down the foul lines, of course, there's no foul line area down there. That and Anaheim's pretty much built the exact same way.
Right.
Behind home plate, there's a lot of room, which was nice. To me, it's when you have that no room behind home plate, no foul territory. It feels like if I do a check swing, I'm going to kill the guy on deck. Or
it's like playing in a Little League stadium.
Pardon me?
I said it feels like playing in a Little League stadium, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and it's you feel uncomfortable standing on deck because you're taking your practice swings and you're 20 feet from the hitter.
Right.
So and listen, I'm not making any excuses. That's not the reason why I sucked when I played in Chicago. I just had a bad time hitting in that ballpark, and I looked forward to going on the road. If you check my road numbers that year compared to my home games, it was night and day. I think I hit one home run and like 6 RBIs at home, and get like 16 home runs on the road and 40 some RBIs on the road. So it was, it was. I enjoyed playing there, and it was a good time.
Well, it's an interesting perspective because a lot of people hear stories that, I love Wrigley and and let's face it, the locker rooms. I mean, look, it's old, it smells down there, it's compact, it's if you're claustrophobic, you're in trouble down there. Is that a fair statement?
Well, claustrophobic is when you played the old Detroit Stadium, where you had to walk along in the bench and you had to duck underneath this very dense cement block. Me being a 5'9" guy, I would hit my head in the roof. The locker room in Detroit was really small. The locker room in Chicago was, look, I mean, nowadays you can land a plane in most locker rooms. It was just an original locker room. They did a great job with it. I think the Tier 3, which they were going to do the visiting locker room this year, I'm not 100% sure, but they did the locker rooms, or the benches, which they did a great job on. And now I think they were going to do something in the locker room this year for the visiting side. But it's fine. I mean, it's a little different as a coach is sitting there changing and listening to all the players talking about stuff that's going on, where we're used to having our own office and, kind of getting away from the coaches or the players, depending on what you're doing.
Right.
It is tight, and of course you sit there and you eat right in the middle of the locker room, so it's a little different that way.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. I think a lot of people don't get to hear that perspective. I love what you said about the small feel in the park. Everybody's right on top of you. Folks, we're going to be back here with Matt Stairs in just a few minutes. We're going to talk a little bit other sports besides baseball as well. He's a pretty avid sports watcher, and we're going to get into it a little bit. All right, folks, back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come with Matt Stairs.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now. with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Hey everyone, this is Darrell Evans of the 1984 World Champion Detroit Tigers. My favorite show to be on is the Sports Circus with Big Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. This segment is brought to you by the American Business Trust Company, helping your company with business strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. Visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio, Spotify, our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. We're here with Matt Steers, War King, world champion from the Philadelphia Phillies, and probably one of the best home run hitting pinch hitters that the game has ever seen. Thanks for joining us again, Matt.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, so you're a big animal guy. We were talking about this in the commercial break. Now, you are really big on the pet adoption world, and tell everybody about that a little bit.
Well, my wife and I, we've always trying to figure out how to raise money helping the animals. So we started about 7 years ago after I retired, doing a golf event. And, I started off pretty small. We'd make about $35,000. 70% went to the SPCA, and then 30% went to the local minor baseball program. And then eventually we ended up raising about $500,000 over 5 years of golf. It grew and grew and grew, and it just surprises you how many people are out there supporting animals. So we ended up in Fredericton. We had the SPCA was a euthanization, which was about 40%, which is way too high. After all the stuff that we've done in the donation stuff, we've become 2%, which is the number one in Canada, and we've become an adoption center. So we take a lot of pride and a lot of joy in helping out the fur babies. And on that note, we've become a foster parents, failed fosters, and end up having 18 animals. So 14 cats and 4 dogs.
Holy smokes!
But it's fine. It's all worth it. I would probably take more if I had to.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, there's very few people out there that will risk their personal time to take care of an animal. I mean, let's face it, a lot of these animals, they're just helpless. They have no idea what's going on. They didn't ask to be in that particular situation. A lot of people abandon animals for no reason. I don't understand it. But then again, how do they have a conscience? How do they get along with themselves? How do they look at themselves in the mirror every day? I'll never understand it.
Well, they probably don't have any mirrors. To me, they're gutless. For people to take advantage of a little animal or drop an animal off, or 4 kittens at a door and leave. And what kind of person are you? To me, you're gutless. And we had a case up here where a guy spent 3 months and let his dog by himself into the house, and he starved himself to death.
Wow.
To me, you're a piece of what. We end up fighting for it and end up getting a year in jail. So Anyway, it's just it's to us it's very important with the animals, and we've raised as much money as we can every year to help out the animals. Because God knows, when you live in northeastern Canada, we get some badass weather in the wintertime and 10, 12 feet of snow. So it's nice to give these cats and animals a home.
Well, you know what, Matt, what we'll do is you'll have to send me your logo and link, and I'll put a link on the partners page for the Sports Circus so you can help keep the awareness going, and we'll draw some eyeballs over to it. Hell, we get 3 million plus hits a month on our website, so that ought to do something, at least bring additional awareness to what's going on in your area with the animals as well.
I appreciate that.
Happy to do it.
Thank you.
Happy to do it. All right, so you're a big sportsman. You like other sports. You like watching other sports as well. Talk to me a little bit about basketball. We went over this as well just a little while ago.
Well, I've from being up here, you grow up, loving the Montreal Canadiens and hockey.
Yes.
You end up loving the Boston Bruins, and you love the Boston Celtics. And I just found with basketball nowadays, it's just no defense, zero defense. And I imagine a lot of people you talk to, they have the reasons why, because guys shoot three-pointers, they shoot back the three-pointers up. Nowadays, athletes make so much money that they don't want to get a chance of being hurt by blocking people going to the hoops or how many times nowadays you see a game that's 135 to 128, and that's not even overtime. That's in regular time. Back in the day, you used to see them 90, 88, 87, right. 86. Now I get it. Guys are tremendous shooters, and they're probably, as a team, more athletes on the team wise. But I think this with basketball, you just don't see defense enough anymore. And it's like hockey. We talked about hockey, and I'll change the subject real quick. Hockey during the regular season, there's not a lot of body checks.
No, I'm a huge hockey fan. I mean, let's stick with hockey. Yeah, let's stick with hockey. I'm a huge hockey fan. And let me ask you a question. You've been following the different playoff games and so forth, right? Did you get a chance to see? Did you get a chance to see the phantom cross-check that Cody Eakin put on Joe Pavelski, who conveniently embellished and went back and unfortunately fell on the side of his head, caused himself some injury.
Right.
But how about that ridiculous call? I mean, you don't give somebody a 5-minute major off of, even if it was a 2-minute cross-check. And let's just say it was a worst-case scenario, you get a double minor, right? 2 and 2. Come on, man.
And the worst thing about it was that I think the blood was what scared everybody. He took the tumble, then all of a sudden he got bumped by the winger going through, landed on the side of his head, unfortunately got hurt. The blood was coming out, get carried off. To me, that's where you need to have an instant replay. Should that be an automatic 5-minute major or a 2-minute major?
Well, plus they gave him a game misconduct too.
I know they gave him a 5-minute major and a game misconduct. Well, actually, a 5-minute match and a game misconduct, and they don't score 3 power play goals, and next time they're playing in Game 7 tonight. So
they scored 4 power play goals. Yeah, that's great. It's crazy. Right. It's unprecedented. And look, just like we saw in the Kentucky Derby with the disqualification, what the hell's going on with all these ridiculous calls? I'm sure you saw the NFC Championship game with the phantom no call, I should say, that the Saints were victimized by. Come on, man.
Brutal. I know it's brutal. And unfortunately, it's in every sport. People are going to complain about the referees in hockey and the umpires in baseball. The referees in football. I mean, they make a lot of mistakes, but I think nowadays there's just so many camera angles and so many different things that show that. Oh, once again they screwed up, and here's another place where they missed. Where probably 10, 15 years ago they didn't have all those cameras.
I know.
Now they just play it over and over and over. And like the Boston Milwaukee game right now on TV, they're going back to watch the replays of different angles. So trust me, I was behind the mic for 3 years broadcasting for the Phillies, and you'd be surprised how many camera angles you can pull out of a game. It's just amazing.
Right?
It is. I mean, it really is amazing. And the cameras that we have, we think we have them all. No, New York has more, or Toronto has more for hockey, wherever the hell you're at. So it is. I mean, it's and I think that's the reason why McAvoy didn't get a 5-minute match for the head contact to the Blue Jacket player. Because I think the referees now are afraid to make a mistake, and now it came down to where he got a suspension for 1 game tomorrow when they play against the Hurricanes / the Jerks.
Right.
That's Don Cherry, by the way. That's not me. That's Don Cherry.
Right. well, look at it this way. You look at all these games and you say they all have one thing in common. You know what they have in common, Matt? They have sports gambling, now legalized in-game betting. I got to tell you, buddy, it seems to me that very well could compromise the integrity of the games.
It could. It very easily could. I mean, it's amazing how the gambling has changed and how you go in from quarter to quarter or whatever you want to do and bet on games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of money out there for, being in Vegas and stuff. It's crazy.
Matt, listen, we have less than a minute left, and I want you to get all your social media and your causes. Go ahead and plug that up for about 30 seconds, would you?
It's very quick. I'm on Facebook, and that's it. I learned back when I was broadcasting that there's too many guys or gals that are mouthing off downstairs in their parents' bedroom in the basement on Twitter. So I don't do anything with Twitter. I just do Facebook, and basically our main cause is up in the Fredericton SPCA, and we raise money to help support the animals. And I travel around through the United States and Canada now to be a guest speaker and to really get things off my chest and let people know exactly what's going on in baseball and the lingo behind it. So I've enjoyed it. It's the first time in 30 years I've had a summer off, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, get down here to Vegas, folks. That was Matt Steers, world champion, war champion at 14.2, and just a great guy taking care of the animals. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow right here on your favorite channel, so make sure you tune in. Maybe a special guest, maybe not. You never know. Just tune in right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone. Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.